как раз сейчас перемены, которые не было в течение 100 лет. Как вместе двигаем эти перемены. Перекиньте, пожалуйста, дорогой друг.
What change is coming and what actually is happening in the world recently? Hello and welcome back to Coffee Infused Crypto. Today we are gonna discuss or going back to the basics. Recently I have been debating with a couple of people I know, and I have collected all the questions and concerns that people might have. But in order to address them, let's go back to basics. Let's go back to what is Bitcoin, the what and why. So I'm gonna just state facts and back them up with, of course, as usual, with references, and the decisions are always up to you. I give you ideas, I give you facts, you decide. And then we're gonna link those facts with concerns in the society that we face on daily basis. So we would learn a thing or two, even if you know the majority, you would have a better idea in a new concept or a new let's say information and a debate tactic. And we'll end with the major question: where are you planning to store your wealth or lifetime savings? So let's put all the cards on the table. First of all, let's start. What is Bitcoin? So by definition, Bitcoin network is a peer-to-peer proof of work network of nodes which implement the Bitcoin protocol. The protocol itself implements a highly available, public and decentralized ledger. So I want to just put some words into action. Peer-to-peer means person to person or a computer to computer. So it doesn't need any middleman, intermediary. It's a peer-to-peer. It's a proof of work, which means the Bitcoin network is on the blockchain is a series of blocks generated once every 10 minutes. Those blocks are immutable. Anything that goes on this public ledger cannot be erased, cannot be altered, and is continuously checked by the miners on the network, the proof of work, the workers, the protectors of the network. So that's what makes Bitcoin secure and decentralized, since those miners, those protectors of the network, are all over the world. Okay, so the network is permissionless. Practically anyone can join the network, send and receive transactions, operate a node, view, copy, and contribute to the code, and participate in the consensus process. It's permissionless. Anyone can use the network. Anyone can join it, send, receive, or operate a node, view, copy. So it's public, it is permissionless, and anyone can contribute in the activity or protection of the network. It's decentralized. The Bitcoin network isn't controlled by one central authority. As we said, the proof of work consensus and the miners from all around the globe participate in the security of the network. So there's no head, there's no CEO, there's no company, office, or a person to target. It's a community with a code. So to summarize, it's an open public ledger, peer-to-peer, anonymous, permissionless, trustless, and completely transparent. So you want to say, how is it possible to be anonymous and at the same time open, public, and transparent? Those two. Well, you have to understand something. All the transactions on the network are accessible, seen, and they're transparent. You can go back and check each and every and any wallet or transaction on the network. Some wallets are linked to certain people who say or admit or state to the public that those are our wallets. And that's how you link the wallet to the person. But in other cases, many prefer to keep their wallets without addressing that they own those wallets. So the wallet itself, the owner of the wallet, stays anonymous, but the wallet's activity is transparent on the network. And since it's an open public ledger, anyone can access, anyone can see, anyone can just monitor any transaction back from 11 years till today. So features of Bitcoin, which makes it unique, would be one, as we said, decentralization, censorship resistance, and this is very important. I'm gonna address it now. So censorship resistant, no one can take your Bitcoin. No one can confiscate it. No one can stop you at any terminal, at any airport, and just confiscate your 10 kilograms of gold or deny you bank transfers. It's yours and you are your own bank. So no one can censor you. No one can censor you moving your assets, paying to a person, receiving from a person, or moving your asset anywhere you want on the planet. 3, it has a hard cap of 21 million Bitcoin, and that's by contract. No one can change it, not gonna change. No one has the power to change it. And it's protected by the people, by the protectors of the network, the proof of work. Immutable, as we said, no one can edit anything in the past. The blocks are reviewed by the miners. The ledger is always in check, and you need confirmations and validation from those people in order to have your transactions. So they do all the available funds, all of that. Do you have the funds to pay this transaction? Does the other wallet has sufficient basic I don't know, compliances? Is it a legit wallet? Is it on the same network? So they do all that background checking, and they validate that funds were moved from wallet A to wallet B. So they are deducted from wallet A, added to wallet B, all of that good shit. And last but not least, the network effects. So it's part of the features of Bitcoin because this explains the network effects. Over the past 12 years, Bitcoin has gradually become a mainstream asset. Estimates suggest that there are over 100 million active BTC users across the world. That's roughly the same population like Japan, where the Japan yen is the third most commonly used currency for global trade. So that speaks for itself. Network effect is always growing, and Bitcoin's users are estimated. We're estimated at around the number of the Japanese people and the Japanese yen. So knowing the basics of Bitcoin, now we can deep dive into some of the misinformation or concerns of people. So the first question I had was like, I don't trust the system or the network. I don't know who holds the coin and in what amounts. So as we said earlier, like Bitcoin is public, and we can access the network at any time we see fit. So we're gonna move to this. Just a second, we go here and we move to this. So this is let me check. Yeah, this is it. So Yeah, this is one of the many websites available to check the network, to check the to scan the network. So on the network, you can find all the percentages, all the transfers, all the transactions, all the distribution in on the network, on wallets of the network. If you go down, you can check, for example, here the top 100 wealthiest Bitcoin wallets. And as you see, we've been like saying that if the wallet is known to the public of who holds the wallet, then it is labeled next to it, so this user wouldn't be anonymous. And then within each wallet, you can check how much Bitcoin does it hold, the transfers done, when was the last transfer, how much gas was paid, who received, all of that. So here we have like 3 known, 4th unknown, so 5th unknown. So if we go to any wallet, open it up, we can check all the transactions, all the details. It's an open ledger. It's a public open ledger with prices, current prices, prices at time of transfers, profits and loss, and all the information you need. So that is one where we kind of know that we can access that. We can see who's transferring what, who holds what, how much is being held, and the distribution. So that is doesn't have any value anymore after knowing this, if you, in case you didn't know. Second, if it is centralized in Europe, so one concern was, and war waged there, everyone sells, it will go to zero. Since we discussed it's decentralized, and since we said like it's the third, relatively to the Japanese, like the 100 million active users around the world, and since we know that Bitcoin has been trading for 11 years, 24/7, even on weekends, unlike stocks, and traded on the Asian exchange, traded on the Europe exchange, US exchange, Middle Eastern exchange, any exchange in the world. So night comes, there's a day in other continent, and the exchange opens and people buy. And many did a lot of arbitraging back in the days between, let's say, US and Japan, and did a lot of money. We know who that one person is. So if anything happens in any region, Bitcoin is bigger than all regions. So arbitraging people in the other continent would simply buy the people selling. And since we know that it has a hard cap of 21 million, you can't sell that as much as you want. So that solves this. Gold will always be the go-to asset in times of crisis. So far, so true. And any basket of savings shouldn't consist only of one asset. But if we had to compare money to gold to Bitcoin, just comparing Bitcoin and gold, let me bring this chart up first. Check this out. So let me expand this. You can screenshot this and look at the rates and how high, moderate, and low each of the 3 is. So we're not gonna go into details of this, self-explanatory, but I mean, the only low thing is the established history, and that's because Bitcoin has been only around for 10 years. So if we want to go to the gold standard and we say like, yeah, people go, remember the supply and demand and the 21 million cap. So let's jump back into an interesting thing I want to show you. If you go to Google and just research recent discoveries of gold mine. So this would be an example. 8 days ago, China discovers a huge gold deposit worth of 3 billion. And this was Ethiopia's first new gold mine of the century. near start of production. And then you'll find something like on the February 2nd of 2023, unbelievable gold deposits discovered in Bosnia. 2022 September 12, 5 biggest gold discoveries in Africa. We're going to jump into that in a second. If we scroll a little bit down, Saudi Arabia discovers new gold, copper, ore sites in Medina. And then we see here new gold discoveries in Uganda, valued at 13 trillion, are set to make waves in the global market. So countries who discover gold mines, they add to supply. Countries confiscate those and manipulate the market. How much more can the supply be added, and how finite or infinite is the supply of gold? So if we keep on finding gold mines and the supply keeps on increasing while the world or Earth is capped at 8 billion people, so the demand is standard or walking sideways. So if supply increases and demand is just sideways action. So yeah, if we go to the article where the 5 biggest discoveries in Africa, Uganda, Guinea, Egypt, Ghana, Morocco. So all of those are new discoveries of new mines adding to the gold supply. So let's go back to our chart and let's check what we were. Let's continue. Countries are not adopting the Bitcoin network, but their own networks for CBDCs. So yeah, one of the arguments was like, no, countries are not adopting Bitcoin, like even when sanctioned, even in, for example, Iran or Russia or the conflicts, and whenever they go to the blockchain, they go for the CBDCs or to just adopt their Chinese yuan on as a CBDC and not Bitcoin itself. Well, let's look into that, since we know that we can access all the data on the network. So we're gonna do that and check if that is true. Meet blockchain.com is a website where we can check on-chain metrics. And since we said that proof of work is about miners and people securing the network, so every device, every computer you add on the network adds a hash rate. So those hash rates and adds a difficulty on the network. So the more devices we have on the network, which means the more adoption, the more difficult the network gets. So the more competition there is on the network. Here, this is a chart of the past 3 years, okay? And we have the Bitcoin price in white and the network hash rate in blue. So as you can see that the network hash rate has hit an all-time high just yesterday. It has been increasing even when it doesn't make sense anymore. So now it's here at this point, it's more difficult to it costs more to get a Bitcoin which is worth, like, this is the price now. So for example, at the top of the last bull cycle, okay, the difficulty was here. So technically the profit margin was way bigger. Now the price is way low, but the difficulty keeps on increasing. What does that mean? These are numbers. We can't make numbers up. Those are institutions, governmental facilities joining the network. So whenever anyone, or either privately or in public, so either they're doing it privately under the table or in public, but the numbers don't lie. Only governments have the power to have zero energy cost, and build those huge facilities where they can simply mine and not to we can give a lot of examples. For example, El Salvador and their volcano Bitcoin mining facilities. US and Texas is very active with miners. Russia said that they might join, and they most probably they are on the network. I mean, this is way too costly for an intermediate or a retail person, mining Bitcoin in his shed. At this level, this is institutional. Even though, and even though the price is here, if you were a government, if you were a smart money, would you jump in, put all the expenses and build those huge, this is very difficult, so you need huge facilities. If you don't have plans or expectations for an asset, so I leave that there, and we go back to our arguments. When major companies stop accepting Bitcoin, it will go to zero. Well, yeah, we got that as well. And my response was, major companies don't accept Bitcoin now, and it's at 27,000. Imagine when major companies like Adidas, Nike, I don't know, Burger King, McDonald's, any major company who are adopting NFTs recently, and people in the NFT space know that, start saying that we will get paid in Bitcoin. Those 100 million users who use Bitcoin today will be the OGs of the network, because everyone on planet Earth will start buying Bitcoin, and it's capped at 21 million. So yeah, even Tesla, who once accepted Bitcoin, stopped at the moment, and Bitcoin price is at 27,000 as we speak. If exchanges halt activities in certain regions, Bitcoin will go to zero, because people won't be able to sell their Bitcoin. So this is very important. As we said, this is a peer-to-peer network. We don't need exchanges. We don't need intermediaries. We don't need middlemen. This is not a banking system. This is not a money transfer organization or office where you always need the middleman. It's a seamless, trustless, peer-to-peer connection between two people. Non-custodial wallets needed. You download your wallet, you have your coins on there, the other person has their wallet, and you can transfer within 10 minutes or 15 minutes your Bitcoin from one wallet to another, and even better, on the Lightning Network within a couple of seconds, for the fraction of the amount. So let's say it takes $10 to transfer $10 worth of Bitcoin. It takes $10 to transfer $100 million worth of Bitcoin. The transaction fee is the same. The cheapest to transfer, zero weight, easy to carry, and move anywhere you want in the world without being censored, without being confiscated. So those are the perks, those are the major things people might be skeptical, try to cover them all. But why are we talking about this? Other than this is Bitcoin 101, and some information here might be new to some people, which will help. We're at a crossroad, and I'm gonna end this video with two major events that happened this week. One of them happened in Russia, and the other one was an interview in the US. So that would be it. I will stop talking now, enjoy the two clips, and make your decisions accordingly. So that is everything for tonight. Have a safe night, enjoy your coffee, don't forget to subscribe and share this video so that everyone knows. Enjoy the videos, peace out, see you tomorrow, bye-bye.
For the people who work numbers, I am giving you free advice that those of you who are holding dollars, you surely might go into losses. You better do what you must do, because this market is going to be different in a couple of weeks.
Putin announced this week that Russia will begin using the Chinese yuan for international payments instead of the dollar. Saudi Arabia is also in talks with Beijing to do the same thing. Speaking of Saudi Arabia, meanwhile, they are in talks with Iran as well to consider an economic alliance with China in Russia. And they can even be joining the BRIC countries, which is an acronym for these countries here, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. These countries all have emerging economies. So what happens if our economy and the U.S. dollar are no longer the world's dominant currency? Former Assistant Treasury Secretary and host of the Monica Crowley podcast, Monica Crowley, is here to weigh in. Monica, great to see you this morning. Let's start right there. What happens if these emerging economies move away from the U.S. dollar towards the Chinese yuan?
Well, good morning, Will. It's great to be with you. And it's really hard to overstate exactly how catastrophic the abandonment of the U.S. dollar would be as the world's global reserve currency. Look, since the end of World War II, the dollar has been the safe place to go, and it's been backed up by a couple of things. It originally was backed up by gold, but President Nixon took us off the gold standard, so there's no hard asset backing up the dollar anymore for the last 50 years. But also it's been backed up by the strength and economic power of the United States and the fact that oil has always been traded in dollars. If that were to end, that would mean the end of the U.S. dollar. Look, there's a perfect storm happening right now, Will. The world's reserve currency being that, having that status has been a real privilege, but we've abused the privilege by wholly reckless monetary and fiscal policies over many years, certainly over the last couple of years, which has really devalued the dollar. On top of that, now you do have this perfect storm of Biden's weakness, his war on American domestic energy production, the Ukraine war, and as you point out, because of all of these things, we've got America's enemies led by China forming a new economic bloc. And all it would take at this point now, because we're at this pivotal moment, Will, is for Saudi Arabia, who has indicated that they're open to this, to say, you know what, we're going to be open to considering other currencies to trade in oil. If that were to happen, there would be a complete implosion of the global economic system, but certainly the American economic system. And if that were to happen, you'd be looking at sky-high inflation, just raging Weimar Republic kind of inflation. If you think inflation is bad now, just wait. But more importantly, we would lose our economic dominance and we would lose our superpower status.
Monica, the world's reserve currency, you said it's a privilege for the United States for the dollar to have been the world's currency. How does that relate to each individual American? How has that changed or impacted or improved our lives throughout the last several decades?
Yeah, I mean, it's given the United States incredible dominance in the world in terms of the economic system and in terms of trade. It's kept prices down. So whether it's energy prices, whether it's your food prices, the entire global economic system is reliant on the safe and secure dollar. But that is no longer true, again, because we've been printing money like crazy and devalued the power of the dollar and the value of the dollar. But on top of it now, again, oil is the critical linchpin of this. If Saudi Arabia decides to join with America's enemies here and start trading oil in different currencies, that is going to undermine the entire global economic system. And here at home, you know what it's going to mean for us? It's going to mean raging inflation, so much worse than anything we have ever experienced, Will. And I'll tell you, they're setting it up so that they can then come to the rescue by introducing central bank digital currencies. If they were to do that, and the United States already has a pilot program, that means the loss of your individual economic freedom, because the government will have total access and control of everything you buy and sell and the ability to turn it off like that.
Ominous warning. I hear you. Saudi Arabia is the tipping point. Oil trading in dollars is the tipping point.